We've all been there, right? Staring at a to-do list that's so long it feels totally impossible to even start. So naturally, we just don't. But what if the secret to breaking that cycle, to getting out of that procrastination rut, wasn't some complex new system, but a super simple rule that takes just 120 seconds? Let's dive into how it works. So, here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about something called the planning trap. It's the psychological reason we get so overwhelmed in the first place. Then, we'll get to the good part, the 2-minute solution. We'll break it down into its two powerful applications, one for getting rid of all that little clutter, and the other for finally starting those big projects. And to wrap it all up, we'll cover how to use this rule wisely, so it actually helps you focus instead of just distracting you. Okay, so why on earth do we need a rule that's this simple? Well, it's because our brains have this tiny little flaw when it comes to planning. To put it simply, we are all consistently, wildly optimistic about how long things are actually going to take. I mean, just think about it for a second. That paper you thought you could knock out in 3 days, that home improvement project that was supposed to just take a weekend, we are constantly, and sometimes kind of comically, wrong about our own timelines. You know, this isn't just a personal failing. There's a name for it. It's a well-documented cognitive bias called the planning fallacy, which was identified by the psychologist Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. It's basically our brain's default setting to imagine the best-case scenario, a perfect, uninterrupted path to getting something done, while totally ignoring all the times in the past it didn't work out that way. And that is why we're so often stuck in that awful cycle of missed deadlines and last-minute stress. So if we can't really trust our own planning instincts, we need a system to just bypass them. And that, my friends, brings us to the hero of our story, a beautifully simple, totally actionable solution. The entire answer lies in this one number, 2. 2 minutes. It's such a small amount of time, it feels almost insignificant, right? But when you apply it in the right way, it has the power to completely change how you get things done. Okay, so there's the formal definition. But the real magic of the 2-minute rule is that it's actually 2 rules in one. Each part is designed to attack a very different kind of procrastination. So let's break them down. All right, let's start with part 1. This is all about tackling that endless stream of little tasks that just clog up our lives and, more importantly, our minds. The rule here couldn't be simpler. If it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it, right then and there. The productivity expert David Allen absolutely nailed the logic behind this. Think of 2 minutes as the efficiency cutoff. Any task that takes less time than that, well, it actually takes you more time and mental energy to write it down, to remember it, and to feel guilty about not doing it than it would to just get it over with. And this isn't just some theory. I mean, think about your day. Washing that one plate right after you eat, sending that quick email reply, taking out the trash. These are those tiny little wins that stop the mental and physical clutter from piling up and turning into a huge, overwhelming mess. Now for part 2. And this is where the rule goes from being a handy little trick for tidying up to a seriously powerful tool for building new habits. It's designed to attack those massive, ambitious goals, the ones that are so intimidating we don't even know where to possibly begin. Just like the author James Clear explains it, the point here isn't to finish the huge task. It's simply to start it. The rule lowers that barrier to entry so much that it almost becomes harder to say no than to just do it. You can actually think of this like physics. Seriously, it's Newton's first law, just applied to our daily lives. The absolute hardest part is always overcoming inertia, that initial resistance you feel to getting started. But once you get that object moving, it's so much easier to keep it moving. The 2-minute rule, it's just that tiny initial push that gets the boulder rolling downhill. And just look at how this works in practice. The focus isn't on performance at all. It's just about showing up. Writing one sentence, that often leads to writing a whole paragraph. And once you've put on your running shoes, going for the actual run is pretty much inevitable. You see, you're not even trying to achieve the goal. You're just making it ridiculously easy to start the process. Now, like any really powerful tool, this one has its limits. If you just apply it mindlessly all day long, you can actually end up hurting your productivity. So it is absolutely crucial to understand when and when not to use it. So here's the big danger. Let's say you're deep in focus work. You're writing a report, you're coding, whatever. If you suddenly stop to answer a quick 2-minute email, you've just completely shattered your concentration. That constant jumping between small, unrelated tasks is called context switching, and it is an absolute productivity killer. So the strategy here is really simple. Use the rule during specific admin blocks, or in those little gaps between meetings, or when your energy is low and you can't focus anyway. But you have to fiercely, fiercely protect your deep work time. Never let a bunch of tiny tasks derail your most important projects. Okay, so how do you use it wisely? Let's boil it down. 1. Create sacred, do not disturb blocks of time for your most important work. 2. Batch all your small tasks together. Maybe have a 15-minute, 2-minute rule blitz instead of sprinkling them all through your day. And 3, probably the most important, be honest with yourself. If you know that quick email is probably going to turn into a long back and forth, it doesn't count, defer it. You know, the problem with most explainers like this is that you listen to the information, you nod along, but you never actually put it into practice. We want this to be different. It's time to go from just knowing this stuff to actually doing it. So here is your challenge. Right now, look around you. What's one thing you can do that will take less than 2 minutes? Take out the trash, send that one text, wipe down one thing on your desk. Anyone can spare the next 120 seconds. Use this time and prove the rule to yourself. Go.